It's 10 a.m. You are watching NDTV 24/7. I am Parmeshwar Bawa. Our big focus? Well, Gujarat is geared up for Prime Minister Modi's visit. Prime Minister Modi has begun his two-day Gujarat trip from Vadodara. In fact, a roadshow is underway as we speak. Our Prime Minister is scheduled to attend a number of public events while also inaugurating or laying the foundation stones for various developmental projects worth thousands of crores. This is notably the Prime Minister's first visit to his home state after the Indian Armed Forces launched Operation Sindoor on terrorist bases in Pakistan, which, as you know, is in response to the terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam back on the 22nd of April. So while Prime Minister Modi has arrived in Vadodara, he will now proceed to Dahod after the roadshow and inaugurate a locomotive manufacturing plant there and also flag off an electric locomotive. Prime Minister Modi will then lay the foundation stones and inaugurate multiple development projects worth around 24,000 crore rupees in Dahod, while also addressing a public function. So an action-packed day for the Prime Minister lined up. He's also expected to flag off a Vande Bharat Express train between Verawal and Ahmedabad. But let's just go across to my colleague Aishwarya, who's been tracking the latest for us. Aishwarya, as you've been highlighting as well, this is Prime Minister Modi's first visit post-Operation Sindoor. Has that impacted the mood or the optics on the ground? We are given to understand his roadshow in Vadodara is underway as we speak.
Well, that's right. It's the first tour of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the state of Gujarat, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has landed in Vadodara. The entire area where thousands of people have gathered over here. It is, of course, these people waving, and 30,000 plus women had welcomed the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Cultural shows are being organized, tirangas in their hand as well, and there has been massive posters of Prime Minister Narendra Modi of Operation Sindoor, the successful Operation Sindoor, after which the entire country is united together. People have come from large parts of Gujarat to have one glimpse of Prime Minister as he arrived in Vadodara. He would be proceeding to Dahod to inaugurate railway production unit, locomotive train production unit, and also apart from it, he would be going to Bhuj, where he will address a public rally. A route to his plan is there as well. And finally, in Ahmedabad, after his arrival at the airport today evening, he would again be conducting a road show. This is a massive show of unity that we can witness on the streets of Gujarat as Prime Minister has arrived as Operation Sindoor is dedicated to Nari Shakti. People over here, specifically women, have come from large parts of Gujarat to welcome Prime Minister Narendra Modi. आप लोग यहाँ पर आए हैं, कितना जोश है ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के बाद प्रधानमंत्री का जोश है ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के बाद प्रधानमंत्री का पहला गुजरात दौरा.
थैंक यू सो मच फॉर एज अ पीएम नरेंद्र मोदी सर को, और उनकी वजह से आज जो ये हो रहा है, वी आर ग्लैडली टू मच फॉर हिम एंड मोस्ट थैंक्स ऑफ फुल. ही इज़ द पीएम ऑफ इंडिया. वी आर टू मच हैप्पी फॉर टुडे एंड ही इज केम हियर. थैंक यू.
आप लोगों ने किस तरीके से स्वागत किया, क्या तैयारियां की हैं?
आज रोज વડાપ્રધાન નરેન્દ્ર મોદી સૌના લોક લાડીલા વડાપ્રધાન નરેન્દ્ર મોદી વડોદરા શહેરમાં આજે એમનું સ્વાગત કરવા માટે મારી ટીમ સાથે અને મારી બહેનો સાથે ખૂબ ઉત્સાહભેર તમામ બહેનોની ટીમ સાથે મેં મોદી સાહેબને નમસ્કાર કરી સન્માન કર્યું.
So people greeted, and what I can see just around me is these posters of massive scale with Prime Minister and Indian Armed Forces, the posters of Prime Minister going to Adampur Air Base as well, and today as well we can expect Prime Minister to go to Bhuj Air Base where he can meet thousands of people. There you can see the convoy now moving back to the airport, because from the airport itself it is Prime Minister Narendra Modi who will be going to Dahod and would be inaugurating projects worth rupees 54,000 crore rupees. Of course, Vande Bharat train, we would be flagging of that as well, and also infrastructure projects, the road connectivity from the region of Bhuj. But it is more important because after Operation Sindoor, it is Prime Minister Narendra Modi who had welcomed. I spoke to Harsh Sanghvi, Gujarat Home Minister, who also stated that this is the kind of unity that we are witnessing for the
the first time, people have come from large parts of Gujarat to Vadodara to have a glimpse and to welcome Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Of course, tomorrow it would be Prime Minister would be in Ahmedabad in Gandhinagar, and it will be Prime Minister will be also.
As far as what Operation Sindoor meant, and certainly, as Prime Minister stated, Operation Sindoor is dedicated to Operation Non-Security. You can see thousands of women in Vadodara with Tiranga in their hands and welcoming Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There is, of course, apart from it, several development projects, water supply department projects. It is construction which has completed as far as that state police housing corporation, roads and building department projects have completed. And for the reason, a must, trip of Prime Minister. Now finally, Prime Minister, we've been told, has entered Vadodara Airport and heading to the house from here on. But the enthusiasm and the kind of energy that we can see is unseen. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi was welcomed by thousands and thousands of people here in Vadodara.
Aishwarya, thanks so much for joining us with the latest from Ground Zero. As the Prime Minister's roadshow in Vadodara, as we can see, is currently underway. As Aishwarya is reporting, massive crowds have turned up. People are actually keenly observing the Prime Minister's home state visit, even from their rooftops, waving to the Prime Minister, as we just saw in the visuals that Aishwarya Jain is sharing from Ground Zero. This is the Prime Minister's first visit to Gujarat after India's cross-border strikes. The timing is significant. In fact, for further clarity and to understand the consequences, the optics, we have with us political analyst Sajjan Kumar. Mr. Kumar, thank you so much for joining us on NDTV. This is the Prime Minister's first visit to Gujarat after Operation Sindoor. How significant would you say the timing is, and are we also seeing the groundwork for a national campaign rooted in home state optics?
Yes, it is significant on a couple of factors. One, during the Operation Sindoor, the Kutch part of Gujarat came under attack from Pakistan. So while it is a national sort of discourse which united the country, stood behind the defense forces and political leadership, but in Gujarat they had witnessed the attack. So it has more significance because he is not only going there but also visiting that part in Kutch and Saurashtra region. Two, as you mentioned, certainly, 2027 we will be witnessing the elections. So though it is a bit distant, but certainly, the kind of preparation that BJP and Prime Minister Modi keeps in mind is there. But nevertheless, if you see, it's a very comprehensive visit. He is catering to Vadodara, which is the southern Gujarat. Then you go to Dahod, which is primarily the tribal region in the north, and wherein the developmental projects are being laid down, announced, and from there going to the Kutch and Saurashtra region, Bhuj and other parts, which is the other part of Gujarat. So that way he is catering to the entire Gujarat and their specific development. And no wonder that Prime Minister Modi and the developmental and public sphere in Gujarat are synonymous. Whenever the state elections will happen, you go there while the state BJP leadership is there. But people always identify, despite he is no more the chief minister, he is the prime minister, with Prime Minister Modi. And that is why this visit has quite a significance in terms of being his home state. The way the developmental discourse or the Gujarat model, which has become the buzzword, this is the granular attention that Prime Minister Modi pays to his home state, leading from the front, laying down the foundation, catering all the regions, be it the tribe and all the demographics and their specific needs. But after Operation Sindoor, it is all the more important because, mind it, Gujarat was one of the states wherein the Kutch part came under attack. So going there has another significance of kind of the jubilance, the kind of a sense of, pride. So that way, certainly the political and electoral benefits would be a tangential outcome, but primarily it's about a comprehensive, relatedness that the political leadership does, particularly to his home state. Yes.
Right. Mr. Kumar, do stay on with us as I get in another ground update from my colleague Aishwarya Jain, who's with us at the moment. Aishwarya, we've been discussing this massive figure of 82,000 crore rupees. Can you break down how much of this is fresh investment versus previously announced or ongoing projects?
Well, as per the official statement by the Prime Minister's office, of course, an important one is Prime Minister going to Dahod and inaugurating the locomotive engine and locomotive electronic engine project, which is certainly a big boost for the railway infrastructure in the country that will manufacture made in India railway engines and can also export them around the world. And that's a big boost. This particular plant in Dahod was under construction for last so many years, but finally it will be inaugurated and dedicated to the nation by Prime Minister Narendra Modi today at around 11:40. Specifically, Prime Minister would be also doing a roadshow, and there is a small public gathering there as well. But apart from it, there are several other important projects that had been told to us that Prime Minister would be focusing on as far as the road and transport development project. That is something that is a major boost in this particular region in Dahod. The multiple development projects worth around rupees 24,000 crores in Dahod, and he will also address a public function. As far as the railway, apart from railway project, there is also massive scale of road and development project, as I mentioned, which is of course the Savli Timba Road 38-kilometer 4-lane project that will be inaugurated. The Sandli Por Karyavohan Road, that is a 21.6 kilometer 4-lane road, that would be inaugurated as well. Water and supply sewerage scheme phase 2 under Balisnor Amrut 2.0 urban development and urban housing development project that would be open as well. There is also Gujarat State Police Housing Corporation Limited Vadodara project group 4 for Dahod district that would be dedicated by Prime Minister as well. There are several water development, water supply department project that would be inaugurated as well, and also a Vande Bharat flag, that a train that would be flagged off that will be starting from Ahmedabad to Vivaral.
All of those are major projects which are inaugurating, but one of the major highlights that actually National Railway Minister of India also had stated this morning, that it is, of course, when the locomotive manufacturing unit will be inaugurated, it will give a big boost to the railway infrastructure, to the railway manufacturing sector in the country, and therefore Prime Minister's Dahod visit is very significant. But as rightly mentioned, Bhuj, one of the airbase which came under attack during the conflict between India and Pakistan. Certainly, Rajnath Singh, Defence Minister, visited the Bhuj airbase as well. He met those air warriors and Indian Armed Forces and motivated them. It could be Prime Minister who could meet those armed forces, air warriors who were there to motivate their team. Prime Minister visiting Adampur Air Base after Operation Sindoor, and it is a significant visit to that part of the country, that airbase as well of Prime Minister. But it will all end today in Ahmedabad, where Prime Minister will be concluding first day of the day tour in Gandhinagar from Ahmedabad Airport to SB Highway in Ahmedabad. A 2-kilometer road show where he will be again welcomed by thousands of people. And finally, he will be staying overnight at Raj Bhavan tomorrow, a public address in Gandhinagar, from which he will be concluding his 2-day Gujarat.
Aishwarya, as always, thank you so much for joining us with the lowdown and the Prime Minister's plan of action. Mr. Sajjan Kumar is also with us at the moment. Mr. Kumar, we were briefly speaking of the Gujarat model. Now, this 2-day Gujarat tour of the Prime Minister, it marks 20 years of Prime Minister Modi's urban vision as well. What would you say has changed tangibly on the ground, and what remains a well-marketed legacy?
One of the legacy is the policy outreach, wherein if you see, take region-wise, the Kutch and Saurashtra region used to have a huge water crisis, be it about the drinking water or the normal water for other uses. And there used to be weekly water riots when the tankers were there. And through, Narmada Canal project and linking it with the households, every household, now you see the region doesn't have this problem anymore. So that's a huge thing. Second thing is the condition of the electricity, and that's also in the urban part. Third is the connectivity, of the kind of connectivity you go and see in Gujarat from one city to other city. That is something which is catering even to the interior areas. Fourth, the legacy is now, which is important among all these things, that the whole region, which is primarily the tribal region, and remember, this used to be the Congress version, and Congress used to command this entire tribal or the Bhil region, as it is known as, which is bordering Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Maharashtra, on the corners of the north and eastern part of Gujarat. There, in the last election, if you see, BJP was rewarded like anything electorally and politically, and certainly BJP is consolidating by policy outreach. So that was the legacy which is going to stay with Prime Minister Modi, is the kind of one law and order wherein the women feel secure, then including development, self-help groups, and financial inclusion, and then catering to the tribals and other kind of demographics. So that is why you see mundane everyday issues have been taken care of, and thereby the aspirational trigger that you find among the Gujaratis, which is not just limited to the middle class and upper middle class. Gujarati corporates are known across the world, but here is the bottom of the pyramid also in Gujarat, who are also aspirational, and that is because the kind of infrastructural and policy outreach which is there and which is continuing. It is not that now we have done our due and then it is up to the people. Always he leads from the front. So that way he inspired by leading, and that any leadership, even within the BJP, has a huge task to match up to the expectation that people have by looking the stint of Prime Minister's chief ministership from 2002 to 2014.
Mr. Kumar,
yes.
As we know, the Prime Minister is also reviving and scaling his 2005 urban plan. How effective would you say nostalgia is as a governance tool in today's current political landscape?
In the current political landscape, if you see this urban development program, which region was the underbelly? And it was primarily, if you start from Dahod in the north to the Dang, that is Maharashtra's south. This is entire tribal region which passes through Madhya Pradesh and goes up to the borders of western borders of Maharashtra. Therein you see still you need the kind of urbanization that is needed, and because of the kind of protest and activism that was there by the ones who were objecting to that sort of initiative. Now you see even among the tribals and a section of middle class tribals who are emerging, they are the ones who want to embrace the mainstreaming of the developmental project and the region. So therein you find that from 2005 to 2025, in 2 decades, you have seen that from the mainland Gujarat, that is the central and south Gujarat, so Ahmedabad, Gandhinagar, Vadodara, Surat, etc., they were already urbanized, they were developed, but it was primarily the northern Gujarat, and thereafter you go to the Kutch and Saurashtra part, wherein the interior parts, wherein you had these parameters of urbanization and urban parameters lacking. And most importantly, the tribal regions, which is the north and the eastern borders of Gujarat, entire long sort of a boundary. Therein you find that now the developmental policy outreach is not only reaching out, but it is showing the effect. And thereby I see that Dahod, among all these things, besides so many other optics, is crucial to me, because it is the core tribal region wherein you find these big infrastructure investments are happening. So certainly it is going to trigger the urbanization and thereby the mainstreaming of the demographics, which has been hitherto excluded from that. So that's a very enduring legacy, and that's something worth emulating by the other states.
Right. But 3 road shows in 48 hours. Mr. Kumar, some on the other side of the political spectrum are actually questioning whether these are development launches or soft campaign rallies. But what would you say this tells you about the BJP's Gujarat strategy?
No, I think every policy has a political dividend. So why should these two be seen as exclusionary or in terms of a very binary? Because if you are reaching out to the people, you have a mandate to bring development. Certainly this developmental policy outreach is going to reward you politically. You are not reaching out to the people on the basis of fault lines, on the basis of, sort of a non-development, non-material outreach. So if a leadership goes there and reaches out with massive transformative policy outreach, and in return they are reciprocated and rewarded politically and electorally, why should that be seen as a bad thing? This is something that every political party should aspire to emulate as a template. So that's why I do not see this binary of a good policy rewarding you politically. That is something that should be celebrated. That is the ethos of a democratic outreach.
Right. Well, as we wrap, sir, this 82,000 crore rupee figure that we've been discussing, the investment blitz, it does come weeks after Operation Sindoor. Some argue this is an attempt to shift the narrative from military assertion now to economic muscle. What's your take though?
This is a comprehensive package, because your nationalism is not just a military nationalism. It requires the economic package, and that economic muscularity, as you frame it, is not a muscularity in sense of excluding the common masses. It should be something inclusive wherein you feel relatedness, and that is why economic, military, and political and cultural. I mean, wherein you find a comprehensive package, wherein is the leadership inspire you. It resonates. His policies and the outreach is something wherein nationalism, economic inclusivity, and the aspirational trigger, they all come together. This is a package rather than seen in terms of watertight compartments. So there is no question of shifting from the military kind of victory to economic sort of avant-garde policy outreach to the political and electoral. This is something they all complement each other,
right.
And without one, the other will always be, lacking colossally. So that is why all these aspects should be seen as a comprehensive complementary package which needs each other, and that is why you see it the widget containing within it. So you see the cultural aspect wherein you go and people feel related to. You see a celebration of Operation Sindoor wherein one region, Bhuj, has come under attack, and then you see all the demographics, different regions economically being catered to, and that is how you create a sort of hegemonic political presence that Prime Minister Modi is known for. And this is something, a classical example that how the political leadership should lead from the front, wherein the people are not only celebrating but also feel included and related. Yes.
Well, Mr. Kumar, thank you so much for joining us with your views on NDTV. In fact, I must inform our viewers that NDTV also spoke to the Home Minister in Gujarat, Harsh Sanghvi. Listen in to what the Home Minister of Gujarat told my colleague Aishwarya Jain.
गुजरात के गृह मंत्री हर्ष सांघवी हमारे साथ हैं। जिस तरीके का उत्साह लोगों के चेहरों पर दिख रहा है, आपके चेहरे पर भी उसी तरीके का उत्साह देखने को मिल रहा है। पहली बार प्रधानमंत्री गुजरात के धरती पर पधार रहे हैं। क्या कुछ तैयारियां हैं और ऑपरेशन सिंदूर आपके लिए क्या महत्व रखता है?
आतंकवादियों की गोलियों के सामने गोलों का जवाब। ऑपरेशन सिंदूर की भव्य सफलता के बाद देश के लोकप्रिय प्रधानमंत्री आदरणीय श्री नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी पहली बार जब गुजरात पधार रहे हैं, आज देश के कश्मीर से लेकर कन्याकुमारी तक हर क्षेत्र में एक अलग ही प्रकार का खुशी का माहौल है। वडोदरा की गली गलियों में नारा गूंज रहा है, भारतीय सेना को अभिनंदन, मोदी जी को अभिनंदन। खासतौर पे आज आप देख सकते हो हजारों की संख्या में बहनें यहाँ पे हाथ में आरती की थाली एवं सिंदूर लेके खड़ी है, अभिनंदन देने के लिए खड़ी है, आभार मानने के लिए खड़ी है। ये अपने आप में एक बहुत ही बड़ा विषय है।
प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा ऑपरेशन सिंदूर नारी शक्ति को डेडिकेट किया जाता है और नारी यहाँ पर बड़ी तादाद में है। क्यों इस तरीके की यूनिटी ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के बाद भारत के अंदर दिखने को?
ये बहुत ही बड़ा विषय है। ये नया भारत है जो गोली का जवाब गोलों से देता है। खास तौर पे भारतीय सेना ने दुनिया भर को दिखा लिया है कि हम प्रिसीशन काम करने में कितने माहिर हैं। हमारे भारतीय सेना द्वारा आतंकवादियों को या आतंकवादी अड्डों को ध्वस्त करते वक्त एक भी आम नागरिकों को किसी भी प्रकार की ठोस ना पहुंचे, उसमें भी बहुत ही बड़ी सफलता प्राप्त की। ये बहुत बड़ा विषय।
Well, speaking of Nari Shakti, I'm told my colleague Aishwarya Jain joins us live from Vadodara at the moment with a group of women who are quite keenly keeping an eye on the Prime Minister's Gujarat trip. Well, Aishwarya, as you've been reporting, this is our Prime Minister's first visit post-Operation Sindoor. Just take our viewers through how that's impacted the mood and the optics there. Are we also likely to see a blend of security messaging with development?
Well, certainly, as Prime Minister stated that those who try to remove the sindoor of our women, those people had been brought to their knees. Certainly, India will not distinguish between the Pak-sponsored terror and the terrorist organizations. Thousands of women over here had welcomed Prime Minister Narendra Modi with sindoor and red sari that they wore. आप लोग ने क्या सोचकर यहाँ पर आए, आप लोग के मन में क्या भाव थे प्रधानमंत्री जब आए, और ऑपरेशन सिंदूर जो प्रधानमंत्री ने खुद इस ऑपरेशन का नाम दिया था?
यस, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने ऑपरेशन सिंदूर का नाम क्यों लिया होगा? क्योंकि आज पहलगांव के अंदर कितनी सारी महिलाओं का सिंदूर उन्होंने उजाड़ा है। उनको जवाब देने के लिए भारत देश का एक ही प्रधानमंत्री ऐसा है कि जो दिमाग में ऐसा वर्ड सोचता है कि जो टची हो सकता है, कि जो इंसान को इफेक्ट दिलाता है। इसीलिए प्रधानमंत्री साहब ने ये सिंदूर ऑपरेशन का नाम रखा गया, और उसके चलते उनका गुजरात का जो प्रवास था, तो हमारे बड़ौदा के अध्यक्ष जी ने उनको बोला कि आप डायरेक्ट दाहोद जाने वालों, और ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के बाद में ये पहला स्वागत है। और अचूक सारी महिलाएं, पूरी गुजरात की महिलाएं उनके लिए राह देख रही थी कि ये कब बड़ौदा में पाँव रखे, कब गुजरात में पाँव रखे। और ये सिंदूर का बदला जो लिया भारत देश के प्रधानमंत्री, जो हीरा बा का लाड़कवा या सपूत जो बोला जाता है, आइंदा भारत में ऐसा प्रधानमंत्री मिलेगा नहीं। उनको टिका के रखो, उनका स्वस्थ सुखी रहे।
साड़ी पहन कर आए, सिंदूर भी लेकर आए थे यहाँ पर स्वागत में, क्या भाव थे, क्यों ऐसा?
जिस तरह से मोदी जी ने, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री ने सिंदूर की लाज रख ली, जब उसको इसका सिंदूर उजाड़ा गया तब उसको बोला गया था कि जाओ जाके ऐसा बोलो कि मोदी जी को बताओ कि सिंदूर हमने उजाड़ दिया है। तब जाके उन्होंने जो ये नाम दिया सिंदूर, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर, तब जाके हमें बताया कि सिंदूर की कीमत क्या है मोदी जी ने। आज हम लोगों ने उस तरह से साड़ी, लाल सिंदूर, लाल बिंदी, लाल लिपस्टिक, हर चीज़ की जो मोदी जी ने लाज रखी है, आज उसका जवाब देने के लिए हमने सबने साथ में लाल साड़ी सब पहना हुआ है।
आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे, इतना सक्सेसफुल रहा ऑपरेशन सिंदूर, पाकिस्तानियों को उनके घर के अंदर आतंकवादी ठिकानों को भारत ने नस्तानाबूद किया, आप लोग क्या सोचकर यहाँ पर आए, प्रधानमंत्री का किस तरीके से?
एक सिंदूर की जो कीमत होती है वो हर महिला के लिए बहुत होती है। ये हमारे वड़ा प्रधान ने साबित कर दिया है कि उन्होंने नारी के लिए सिंदूर की कीमत दिखाई है, आतंकवादी को जवाब दिया है, और हर नारी की सुरक्षा के लिए फ्यूचर में भी ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा, अगर होगा तो हम जवाब देने के लिए बैठे हैं, ऐसा उन्होंने दिखाया है।
You clearly see the unity amongst the women over here. Thousands and thousands of women gathered, and there I can see big posters of Prime Minister with the Indian Armed Forces, Operation Sindoor over here, and it is a grand welcome that we saw here outside Vadodara Airport. His first visit to the state of Gujarat, and certainly many stated that there is a kind of unity for the very first time that we saw over here in Gujarat. And as I spoke to Harsh Angvi as well, he stated that this is unrealistic scenes that I'm witnessing first time in Vadodara or in any part of the country, because lakhs of people are coming out with tirangas in their hand, and that's the kind of outcome of Operation Sindoor that had united the entire country. And finally, Prime Minister leaving from Vadodara to Dahod, where he would be conducting another roadshow.
Aishwarya, as always, thank you so much for joining us with the latest from Ground Zero.